that we talked about. We could carry the Babylon situation into our three Joker potential theory.
Oh my god, that was funny.
That was funny, but if you really think about it, it's kind of genius.
You know, well, I loved how Connor said they could do a three Joker thing with like Defoe, McGuire, and Garfield. I mean, what do you think of that?
I love that idea. I think it's a great idea. Like honestly, like
You
when
think
Connor said
Garfield could make a good Joker?
Garfield's in. Here's the thing I will tell you, okay? Garfield is an incredible actor. Anybody who says Garfield can't or can, like anybody who says that he can't do something, they're largely they're going to be crazily surprised by what he pulls off. Like Garfield has gotten to be an actor of so many different calibers that like if it was something like the Joker and he was assigned to do it, maybe he's not necessarily the biggest fan of the character or he grew up reading the comics, but in terms of like a performance and showing that he's a worthy, because the thing about the three Jokers is each of these Jokers are different. He could bring a different type of Joker that we haven't seen before because of his caliber of actor. Like the way I would see it, Willem Dafoe is like the basic comic book Joker that you expect. And then you got Garfield and Toby both giving off different Joker performances that maybe are ripped from some area of the comics, but they're not like specifically Jokers we've seen before. It'd be very different. But I do like that idea. But yeah, guys, welcome to Better Call Maul. I believe we're on episode 15 now. Today's show is gonna be really interesting. It's not a crazy show. We just got back from Christmas break, so it's gonna be. We got a couple movie reviews to discuss with you guys. We got a couple topics. There's an Ahsoka show leak that's got some pretty interesting stuff that we got to talk about. Obviously, Bad Batch starts next week, so that's gonna be pretty hype, especially for me. I'm very excited for that show. We're talking about that little TV spot that came out today, so that will be exciting. So yeah, there'll be some Star Wars stuff. There'll be some. We also got to talk about that. We now know when the next, at least as far as we've been told, we know when the next Star Wars movie, at least by year, when it's going to start coming out. And there's potential rumors about which timeline it may take place in. So that's going to be pretty interesting. But I'd say we should talk about with the number one thing is me and Playboy Parker both saw Babylon last night, so we're ready to give our review on this movie. Now, this movie is really interesting because it's considered a box office bomb right now, and not a lot of people are going and seeing it. But in this review, I think you'll learn you might actually want to go see this movie. So, you ready to go first, Parker?
You want me to go first?
Yep, that's our normal routine.
All right. Yeah, let's ready up. Um, yeah, I quite enjoyed Babylon. It was I said this in my review, but it felt like a mix between Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Wolf of Wall Street, and a little bit of Boogie Nights in there too.
Yeah, Boogie
But
Nights is a good example.
yeah, it's such a. I mean, Babylon is not. It's not enough to describe what this movie's like, because yes, it's just like Babylon. It is a crazy, wild, like doesn't hold back kind of movie. It is just, I mean, it's everything I was really hoping for it to be, honestly, and more, because like you have a bunch of fun and crazy stuff in it, but at the same time you also have a lot of like like really emotional moments in it, especially with Brad Pitt's character. And I would
I
say
agree.
a lot with Margot Robbie's character too. I think she shines in this movie. This might be one of her best roles, honestly.
That's what I'm gonna say in my review tomorrow. I
Up
have
there
the
with I,
same.
Tanya for sure. She just really shines in this movie.
Not enough people talk about I, Tanya. That's so interesting.
I think it deserves more recognition. But this movie is just it's definitely worth 3 hours. When you look at movies like Avatar: The Way of Water and Wakanda Forever, those movies aren't worth 3 hours. This movie is totally worth 3 hours, and I love it more for that. I mean, it is honestly probably the shortest 3 hours of my life, because I just wanted more.
Oh yeah, you're so engrossed in what you're getting.
By the end, you'll just be completely engulfed in this world, and you're gonna want to come back for more. Unfortunately, I don't think there's gonna be more of this because it bombed, but I'm definitely gonna be owning this when it comes out, and I'm definitely gonna watch it over and over again. And I gotta praise everything in this movie, from the music, the cinematography, the acting. Oh my gosh, the acting was so good. I mean, everyone shined in this movie. Like, everyone had a little part, especially Toby. Toby's part was awesome. He was scary, intimidating. I mean, that whole sequence with him is just why, like, creepy, honestly. But yeah, I can't talk enough about this movie, and I can't wait to see it again. So you give me what are your thoughts on it?
Oh, I honestly love this movie because I didn't honestly know what I was getting into with this movie because you know you see these people. I was genuinely excited because I liked the cast, and then I've this director. I've watched a lot of his other movies, so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is gonna be pretty good. And
Right.
even a lot of the times you see people make these reviews and you're like, you don't know what to think. Is it really gonna be as bad as people are saying? Why is this being treated as a bomb? And when you're watching it, I don't understand. I still, even after seeing the full movie, I don't understand how this movie is not doing better.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it was down to. I mean, maybe it was down to marketing.
But if you
Maybe
marketed this movie more, you would spoil major parts of it. Like,
I agree. I mean, that
so it's
first
like,
trailer. So after the movie, I rewatched that trailer, and there were actually a lot of spoilers in that trailer. And I agree with what you said. If you marketed this movie anymore, you would definitely spoil it.
yeah, I don't
And
think there was a way, a creative way to
I
make
think
it
they just
worse.
had to use, I think they just had to use the same clips to market it. But I really wish it did more, it was more successful because it definitely deserves that. Um, and I think it was also down to like it's a 3 hour movie, and it's a 3 hour movie that's not a superhero movie or like like Avatar. Most people aren't gonna want to go see that. I mean,
True.
sure you have big name actors, but again, the marketing it wasn't marketed very well, so no one really like even though it did have the big name cast.
And then the problem you run
Kind of like
into is like
Amsterdam.
you get,
Even though it had a big cast, with Amsterdam, I mean it's not comparable. Like that movie, it's not as good as this one.
yeah.
Not even close. But it's kind of
I
like
didn't see
Amsterdam,
it,
where it
but I
was.
heard people were pretty harsh on it.
I wanna see it, but I heard that that's genuinely not good, and you can
Is
tell
that
like
one
if you.
still on, like, is that on HBO
It's
Max
on
now, or where
Netflix.
is it?
Oh
Oh,
no,
it's on
no.
Netflix?
You're right. You're right. It's on HBO Max. Um, but I've been told that Amsterdam is not good. I'll check it out for myself. But like where
Yeah.
that's genuinely not good, this movie is good, and by you can tell by Letterboxd. If you want reliable, like honest reviews for movies, don't go on Rotten Tomatoes, don't go on IMDb, go on Letterboxd. I mean, the Letterboxd is for the fans. It's for real moviegoers, and they are honest. Like they are honest moviegoers. And if you look at the scores on Letterboxd for Babylon compared to Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score is much different. Where the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is uh it's rotten. I think it's like 54%. If you look on Letterboxd, most people are favoring this movie like four and a half, four, 5.5, or not 5.5, 4.5, 5 stars. Most people like this movie, so they're being real. Like they're not. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that. I honestly think Rotten Tomatoes is a bunch of bullshit. I think people pay them off, but I mean, people
Yeah, they're probably
like
being,
they're honest.
James
Like they're
Cameron's probably
honest.
paying off multiple studios to make sure people see Avatar.
Probably. But I mean, it totally doesn't. It totally deserves to be like highly praised, and I think it should be. I love this movie,
Yeah,
but also
I agree. I mean, when I wrote my review, that was one thing I was talking about. Just like I was trying to just sell this movie hard to people, and just be like, you guys gotta watch this movie. Like it's
yeah.
just,
If you haven't seen Babylon, go see Babylon. It is totally worth seeing. I just I can't say enough about how much I like Babylon. Now, it also depends because if you're a very sensitive person to like media, like certain media, I wouldn't recommend this film to you. And I think that's why it bombed so hard, is because people heard of what's in the movie, and That's why I said it's sort of a mix between Wolf of Wall Street and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Boogie Nights, is because it is a pretty like suggestive movie. And that's not to a fault. Like I personally, it doesn't bother me. I like it. Like I welcome that. But to a lot of people, it's they don't like it. I mean, it kind of not disturbed, but some people get offended by it. Some people like I don't even know.
That's
So
funny to me because that's what holiday is nowadays. Like with Hollywood, I'm surprised that that's
yeah, I don't know, but like Hollywood tries to be more woke now, though. So
which
like
is kind of
if you
sad. Old
I know
Hollywood.
it sucks. If you're very like if you're a sensitive person, if you're a snowflake or if you're a Karen, don't watch this movie. Like
Yeah, that's fair.
if you're gonna get like hurt by like something, because there is like some pretty bad stuff in this movie. So if you're like a you know if
I think the
you're
biggest thing about this
that kind of
movie is
person,
like I know there are people out there that I don't know how you guys did it, but I've seen the reviews. I know there are some people out there that actually really genuinely enjoyed The Fableman, but this movie, in my opinion, is the opposite of that movie. Both movies are trying to
it's
show
the
you.
anti-Fablemans.
What'd you say?
It's the anti-Fablemans.
Yeah, like both movies are trying to show their side of basically how to make a film, right? But this movie does it better in every conceivable way. And the first 15 minutes of this movie don't bore me to death and make me want to watch the dryer spin.
Yeah, you really did not like Fablemans, did you?
Dude, it's bad. Like I watched some critics today give it. They were doing their top 10 movies today, and they put The Fablemans at number 1, and I started losing my mind over how could you like. They're not even critics I trusted, but just the idea that so many people are just like, I don't know what it is, but people are major Steven Spielberg dick riders. Like just they cannot anything made by Steven Spielberg has to be a 10 out of 10 for them. They just love everything he makes, and he can do no wrong.
Movie a chance, so I wouldn't know. But I mean, yeah, we would have to like, I would have to watch it on my own to see like how it is. But I don't know. Like it seems like from the first. I mean, I didn't mind it. I know you hated it, but that's one thing you guys don't mean. I guess.
Here's my thing. My only thing is this. Okay, so like,
lasts as long as mine does, I guess.
My biggest thing is like, I don't need to be entertained from the beginning, but I have to be at least intrigued or interested, especially if it's a 3-hour movie. You know? And for me, now obviously there are movies that are slow that will build into other things, but it's not even like that I was bored from like the sheer. What'd you say?
It's like this bike over here.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah. But it's not even that the sheer 15 minutes. Like, a lot of people give me a hard time because like, well, you only watched 15 minutes of it. How do you know it was bad? I'm like, but you have to understand. For me, I have seen a lot of long movies, and by the 15-minute mark of a movie, I'm usually at least intrigued or interested in the story of the movie. But there was so many red flags with the story. Oh, I'm driving? Oh crap, I didn't realize I was driving.
Yeah.
I thought you were driving. But yeah, it's just like, that whole thing is just very different, and I'm sure there are people that love that movie, and that's great for them. For me, it just did not work. But this movie, however, and speaking, it totally worked. And one of the best things ever, just like you were saying, like, I know a lot of people, I've seen people give praise for both Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie, and I would give praise to both of them. If I had to pick a favorite besides the little snippet of footage, obviously the scene with Toby is great, but between the two people we see the most in the movie, you gotta give the most credit to Margot Robbie over Brad Pitt, because Margot Robbie in this movie is
a force.
Yeah, like this movie is literally all about, like we talked about, it's all about the filmmaking, right? And she is trying to be a movie star, and her as a movie star in this movie. Also, when's the last time you've seen a female actress that could cry so well on cue when she needs to? Like, that to me.
On cue.
What do you say?
And barf on cue.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's so genius, and the dialogue and the writing, so smart, and just, it's great. And I've always been a Margot Robbie fan. Like, I always knew she was great, and every movie I've seen her, I've yet to see a movie that Margot Robbie has been in that I have seen personally that I did not like. So it's just...
I would think Suicide Squad is one.
Yeah, but she was the best thing in that movie. Because that was when we got her start.
Yeah. Well, she got to start in The Wolf of Wall Street, but...
Well, no, I'm just talking her start as Harley Quinn. That's when people first got to see what she could do as the character. And, well, that movie is not good. When you see her, you get her performance.
Good, yeah.
Yeah.
I think when you, like, there's no movie she's been in where you didn't like her character.
Really? Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, I just think, yeah, it really works, and you just really feel like you're connected by the fact that it is so interesting, and it's got everything that you want to see, like he says, in a 3-hour movie, like, and I know, like, some people, when I watch a movie, a lot of people, like, I know you were worried when we walked out of the movie because you're like, did he hate it? Like, did he, like, because I wasn't very expressive of it. But sometimes when you watch a movie, it's not always a crowd cheering situation or a, like, sometimes when you're silent, it's because you're thinking or because you're just interested in the overall, like, you're just engrossed by what you watched, you know? And sometimes it takes you time to process just what kind of movie you did watch. And so overall, yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. I wouldn't say I had expectations for it, but if I did, it definitely would have exceeded them. But I definitely enjoyed it. I definitely liked it. It's definitely one of the...
It might be... the Batman's still my number one. Number two, it's either between Babylon or Top Gun Maverick, and I might have to give it to Babylon.
I mean, yeah, it would be fair. I've looked at a couple people's top 10s, and it would definitely be fair. I'm going to do my top 10 tomorrow. It would definitely be fair to have it in the top 10.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to watch, my goal is I want to watch my top 10 movies, each of the ones that I haven't seen more than once. I want to watch them again.
Oh,
like,
that's a really good idea. Yeah, Here's what I want to do, because I have Thursday and Friday free. I'm gonna go through and watch all of my top 10 movies, and then I think that's what we're gonna have to do.
I definitely want to rewatch them.
I know this is not for the podcast. Do you want to talk about, since we're at the end of the year and this is gonna be our last podcast of the year, do you want to talk about our top 10 favorite movies of the year?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think the order because
Do you want me to go first, or?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay, so I kind of have it set in stone. I might have to think about it a little bit more, but I think so I'm gonna do mine no order. I still need to figure out an order yet.
Yeah, mine too. I don't have an order yet either. So we'll just say the movies that we like and kind of what we think the order.
So we're gonna do 10 movies that are gonna be in the top 10, but like not ranked yet. So,
yeah, I agree.
Obviously, the Batman. Batman is like nothing else you will ever see in DC. It is the best movie of this year, and I don't think I could have asked for a better Batman movie from this. I was a bit skeptical about the movie, but after seeing it, it blew my mind. Like, quite literally blew my mind. So, the Batman is number one. Number two, again, gotta put Babylon. It's such an experience. It is a wild, crazy movie that I would love to watch almost like maybe once every year. Like, I would religiously watch that movie. Like, I mean, I religiously watch the Batman, no joke, but I would religiously watch Babylon. That's how much I like it. I gotta put Top Gun Maverick up there. I didn't think Top Gun Maverick could do what it did, because it came back to a series now, because it's 2 movies. They came back to something that no one really cared about, and it blew it out of like it blew everyone's expectations out of the water. So, I mean, would you agree with that? Would you say that like Top Gun blew you like it subverted your expectations?
Yeah, I mean it definitely was like for me. I'm not the hugest fan of the original Top Gun, but like
Right.
but I felt like it was definitely some. And I was looking at Top Gun Maverick like it was. I wasn't expecting anything special from it, but it definitely did subvert what we had gotten.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
And for that reason, that's why I think for me it will probably. There are probably 3 other movies that I like more than Maverick, but I would still put Maverick high up on the list.
I totally agree. I think, yeah, for sure. Um, I gotta put Multiverse of Madness up there. I know how people feel about Multiverse of
No,
Madness.
it's
I
all.
get
This
it.
is your list. I'm not gonna judge.
I
You
get it. I
completely.
get it. I get it. People, I've heard it talked to death, but I don't care. It's still one of my favorite movies of this year. I watched it so many times, and I will continue to watch it because I don't care what people think.
So you're gonna
Um,
rewatch it again to
I literally,
reconfirm
of
your
course, I'm
placing
gonna
of
rewatch
it.
it. I love it. Number five, gotta go with my boy Bullet Train, dude. Bullet Train is just a fun fucking time. It's not. I wouldn't even say there's nothing like inherently wrong about the movie. That's why it's great at being an action movie, and great at being like just that. Like
That
it
was a
doesn't have
surprising
to.
twist. I was not expecting you to put Bullet Train on yours. I love Bullet Train. I don't know. It'd be so hard to
I
put it on my
I
top
love
10.
Bullet Train, dude. I
Yeah.
literally I'm a Bullet Train dick rider. Like I don't even
No,
care.
yeah,
Like
like no, I love the movie too.
I
I
love Bullet
really
Train,
enjoyed
dude.
that experience. It's so hard to put it on my top 10 because there's so many other things that I just think like
Yeah, no,
that
I totally
movie
get that, but
that movie
I
just
mean,
like it was everything I wanted it to be and more, which was great, but there's so many other things that just it's
oh
so
yeah,
hard to not. Yeah, I don't know. I might have to think on that one. I might have to rewatch that movie again because I love that movie.
no, that's totally understandable, dude. Yeah, yeah. I can't not. I mean, I genuinely love that movie. Like it's just that movie. I mean, that movie rocks. Um,
Yeah, it is really
Number
good.
six, gotta go with Glass Onion, dude. Again, I was so hyped for this was like one of my most highly anticipated movies of the year, and it like overly delivered. Like I can't wait to watch it again. It's on Netflix, and I think it's on. I think it just came on Netflix. I haven't had time
Yeah,
to
there's
watch
been a
it,
lot of
but
people that have been putting it in their top tens, I've noticed, which is
I'm
cool.
excited to watch it again because I love Glass
It
Onion,
doesn't
dude.
make my top 10, but I definitely appreciate other people
No,
that
I get that.
really
Yeah, we
enjoy
both.
it.
I think that was one movie where we both kind of disagreed with how we felt in the movie, but I just can't. I mean, that movie rocks,
Hey,
and
I'm glad that you love it. That's great. I think
yeah,
everyone has one movie on their list or even a couple movies on their list. Because film is meant to be subjective. There is going to be some movies that you're going to look at and go, oh yeah, this really isn't for me, and that's okay.
yeah, that's totally fine. Like no one's expecting you to like love it or anything, so you
Like
gotta
I know
put in
there's
those
one movie
opinions.
on the higher tier of my list that I know you're not even gonna say that you've seen because I didn't watch it in theaters, but it's still just I love it. Like it's so good.
Yeah, probably. Number seven, I'm gonna go with Black Adam. I don't understand the hate for this movie.
I can't believe you put it in the top 10 because honestly, like the movie's
Black
great. Don't get
Adam's
me wrong, but
awesome. Yeah, I mean that's definitely top 10 for me. I mean, I watched it once already. I re-watched it again, and it's still like a top movie for me for sure. I mean, it's so much fun. Dwayne Johnson rocks. Everyone rocks in the movie. I mean, is it the best movie ever? No, but it's entertaining, and that's all I care about for watching this movie. Like,
I
I
get
mean,
that. That makes
it doesn't
sense.
have to be the world's greatest movie. It's just a fun movie, and that's all I really care about. Um, while watching this movie, or watching that movie. Um, I think there could have been a little bit more heart to it, but I
Fair.
mean, I'm not complaining. I liked the movie, so if you didn't like the movie, tough shit. I mean, people say
Yeah,
what they
people were
want.
iffy on it for sure.
Number eight. Now I'm gonna count this because I don't. I know people. Some might have different opinion on like, is this really considered a movie? It's over an hour long, so I'm gonna count it. I'm just gonna count it. Werewolf by Night. I was blown away by what Michael Giacchino was able to do with this movie,
It's so wild.
and I was impressed. I think it's probably one of the best, like other than Multiverse of Madness, the best thing Marvel's put out this year. Um,
Okay.
and I mean, there's not really much else that I can say about it. I mean, it's again, it's not the biggest movie in the world. It's not. It doesn't have like any like, it's not trying to make you cry or anything. But it's just it's a decent watch, and it totally works for the season that it was really. It totally works for Halloween. It totally works for just seeing these new characters. I mean, this is how you introduce a new section of Marvel without like overdoing it or overselling it. Like, I mean, it totally works for me. So, I don't know if you probably wouldn't put it in your top because again, if people, I know it kind of like goes against criteria because I don't know if would you consider this a movie? It's over an hour long, so I would consider it a
Here's
movie.
my thing. I wouldn't have to put that. I kind of would like put that in just like an overall Marvel content list type thing, or like now that we have like obviously the holiday special and everything, you could add those specials in as like a separate list. It's
Yeah.
hard to put it as a movie because of the fact that there are so many other movies in 2022 that are deserving of praise that I don't know if I would want to deprive that by adding a special in.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, you're right. It is special, but I mean, it's also, I don't know. It kind of depends on what, like what certain people think.
I mean, don't get me
So,
wrong, I love it. I think it's still fantastic.
yeah,
For
for
what
sure.
it is fantastic. Oh, we got company
Yeah.
over here. I got
Um,
him.
Number 9, I gotta go with, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I
Oh yeah, you
was
gotta have that on the list.
intrigued by the movie ever since it was announced, and people they described what it was, and I'm like, I don't know how this is gonna work. This is gonna be pretty stupid. Honestly, it had a lot of heart to the movie, and it was. I thought it was fun. I thought it was good. Like I genuinely thought it was a good movie. It had a lot of heart to it. There was a lot of campy action and fun, but it totally worked for the story they were telling. And I was impressed by what Nick Cage was able to do with what he was given, and he totally sold it. Like he oversold it, I would say. So, um, yeah, I like that. I mean, I know a lot of people are like probably forgot about that movie by now, but I mean,
I rewatched it. It's fairly high on my list. Um, I don't know if I could do top 10 just because since that movie has come out, there have been other movies that I've been able to enjoy more, but I still love that movie so much that it'd be hard to not admit that it is a great movie.
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, again, it's for some people, it's for some other people. I mean,
Oh, I
yeah, I
loved it. When I
mean,
rewatched it, I rewatched it pretty recently, and I really enjoyed rewatching because my fiance had never seen it before, and we
oh
watched it, and
really?
it was a blast.
Yeah, I mean, it's that type of movie. It's that type of movie. I mean, you watch it with friends. You just watch it with anybody you want to.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, yeah, I think if that's the kind of movie you're either gonna love it or hate it. I loved it. But yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it again, probably by myself. But it's more fun when you watch it with other people. So, um, yeah. All right. So some honorable mentions before I get to my last spot. Honorable mentions. I gotta put Pearl in there. Um, Pearl's definitely an honorable mention. I actually enjoyed Pearl. I would put Pearl and X kind of like in the same spot. I think they both came out this year. I both enjoyed them. I don't know if I'd put in my top 10, but I both enjoyed them. I put Sonic 2 in my honorable mention.
Makes sense.
Um, I liked it better than the first one. Did you like it better than the first one?
Oh
Some
yeah,
people feel
I've
like,
Sonic 2 in my top 10.
oh, you do? Wow, that's crazy.
No,
Yeah,
I love Sonic
it's an
2.
honorable mention. It's a close spot for that 10. Um,
We'll see. I might have to make it an honorable mention because there's one other movie that I think is ranked a little higher. It depends how much I have room in my top 10. I'm gonna have to like go on Letterboxd and really like think through my top 10 because that's the problem is I've seen so many movies so to condense it to 10 is so hard. But then
yeah,
it's so time consuming to make a list of 20 or more, so it's like you just have to be picky sometimes, and that's just the way it is.
yeah. I mean, that's I mean, that's like a very true statement. I mean, when you
Yeah.
only have 10 spots and you watch more than like maybe 50 movies a year, it's it's gonna be a lot. And um, I mean, to pick it down only to 10, I mean that's pretty hard. Other honorable mentions. I'm gonna put The Northman and Jurassic World Dominion in there. I didn't mind Jurassic World Dominion. I thought it was decent. I think that one movie is severely underrated. It does not deserve a hate guess. I like the movie. I'm gonna say I like the movie. I don't care what anyone says. I like that movie. So fuck anyone who doesn't like that movie. It was decent. Northman again, kind of underrated. Not its fault though. It came out at a weird time that I don't think anybody cared about that. So, um, yeah, I don't think it's really its fault. But those are my honorable mentions. So my 10th spot would be Violent Night. This is another movie again, kind of like with Massive Talent, where I was unexpectedly genuinely enjoy this movie, and it is going to go down as one of my holiday favorites. Like for sure, like I'm going
Oh
to watch this
yeah.
movie every single Christmas. Me and my friends are gonna are just gonna go down to the basement, just put on this movie, and just have a great time because this movie is so much fun. It's got heart to it. It's got action. I mean, it had a little bit of everything that you want in it. And I mean, of course, the guys who made Bullet Train make this movie, of course. I mean, and Nobody, of course, it's gonna be an instant classic. You know, I mean, what more could you want? So, those are my top 10 movies of this year. Not in order. I think the first two are in order, but those would be my top 10. So, without further ado, would you like to give your top 10?
Yeah, my biggest problem is I don't know how I'll be able to rank them.
Yeah,
I'm still
I didn't put mine in order. I put my top three in order, but the rest of them I didn't put in order.
I don't even know I
So,
can do any of them. I honestly just be like it's like to the point of just telling people what movies I really enjoyed because it's like it's so
well, you can do that. I mean, you can just do
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You can just
Well,
list 10 movies that you really enjoyed.
yeah, so
Like
as
your
of
favorite.
today, I'm gonna put just because I can't put it really high, but I do really love it. I'm gonna put RRR at number 10 because I just saw RRR today, and I loved it just as the idea of it being this crazy like if you've never seen a Bollywood movie, it's the Bollywood movie you start with because it's so bonkers. It's got so many fun different genres mixed into one. Yeah, you look at a Bollywood movie, there's lots of dancing and a bunch of things like that, but it's crazy bonkers action and you just dig it and you're just there for it and it's kind of cool. So yeah, I definitely would put that there. Um,
Mhm.
I gotta put everything everywhere all at once somewhere on the list. I just don't know where is my problem.
I
Yeah,
just
these
have
are
that
gonna be all in a
nostalgia.
weird order. Obviously, I've been wrestling this for a long time. The Batman is gonna still be number one. I that I can tell you is that's never gonna change. I just don't think there's gonna be another movie that this year, especially no, there isn't gonna be another movie because 2022 is over. So yeah, there's not gonna be another movie that you're gonna find this year that not what the Batman did for, and you have to understand. So Parker was actually skeptical for the Batman. The Batman is the one movie this year that I'm always been a Batman fan. I always loved Batman. I love the character. And I was so hyped for this movie. And a lot of the times when you get super hyped for this movie, sometimes it can live up to some of the hype, but it doesn't always live up to all of the hype. and it totally lived up to everything for me this time around. And you're just not gonna find another movie like that. The fact it delivered on the hype, and for a lot of people, with Marvel coming out with so many different movies this year, and I know some of them being good, some of them not being good, whatever, right? But the biggest thing that I think, which is great, is the fact that the Batman is the only comic book movie this year to transcend the genre of comic book movies. Like, you're watching the Batman, it's an experience. It's not just a comic book film, good guy, bad guy type of deal. It's a detective story. You're following a story. You have an intriguing villain. You have all these great things. So yeah, you gotta have the Batman at number one. Another one on my list is, I know you probably didn't think too much of this movie, but I got The Menu pretty high on my list because I've seen it twice and I love The Menu.
Man, I should have put that movie. Oh fuck!
You forgot to put The Menu? Oh my god!
What did I put at number 10? What did I put at number 10? Violent Night. I'm putting Menu over Violent Night.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for that. Okay, well, okay. I should have my list. I'm gonna do my list. I'm gonna put The Menu in my number 10 spot because I like Violent Night, but I like The Menu a little bit more. So I'm gonna put that in the 10 spot. So Violent Night, sorry, you're gonna have to go back to the honorable mentions. But I liked because I really liked The Menu. So sorry, David Harbour.
Sorry, David Harbour. Don't kill me in my sleep with a sledgehammer.
Please, yeah. Please give me my gifts next year.
That's so funny. No, it's all good though. I mean, honestly, like, holiday movies are great, but like, you have to really think about the movies that you're gonna constantly think of all the time,
Yeah.
and like, so yeah, I teetered whether I was gonna have Violent Night on my top 10 or if I was gonna do an honorable mentions. We'll see what I end up deciding, but the one movie that I wrestle with, because it's the only movie that I think, for me personally, has ever gotten like an inkling close to the Batman. Not because I think the movies are that close to each other in terms of quality, but just because of a personal enjoyment level. Nothing put a smile on my face more than watching Accident Man 2 this year, which was Scott Adkins' sequel to. So I remember when I watched the first Accident Man back in 2018, and it was just, so Scott Adkins is this actor, and in the UK they had this comic book called Accident Man, and the reason they called him Accident Man is because he causes other people's accidents, obviously, right? And so it was this comic book. It's not owned by Marvel. It's not owned by Indian. And this is the only actor that went and wanted to adapt this into a movie. And the first time it came around, it was a fairly straightforward movie and super fun and just like badass action and some good comedy. And it was cool. But the sequel just kicked it up to a whole new level because you have a killer clown with a sledgehammer. What'd you say?
Accident Man.
Yeah.
Oh, you jumped already? Okay, let's go.
Accident Man, the sequel, is called Accident Man Hitman's Holiday.
Wow.
Because he takes the holiday, and it doesn't go very well for him, and it's a ton of fun. It's just for me personally, as a martial artist, it was a genuine blast.
I mean, this is an example of, we're both very biased people, I think.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what's cool about your list.
No one else is putting that movie in the top 10 other than you because you're a huge Scott Adkins guy.
I just feel like I had to, like, as a Scott Adkins.
Again, no one's putting Multiverse of Madness in the top 10 because I'm in love with that movie.
And then that's how we are. We all have that one thing where each of us are in love with a certain.
I think that's kind of neat for both of us.
Yeah. And you'll get people that will do that. It just won't be the same things. Like, everyone's got that thing that they cater towards that really worked for them.
Yeah.
Like, I think for me, like, I already loved Accident Man. Like, I watched Accident Man so many times. I love the idea of it. I love the realistic choreography. I love that Scott Adkins is working with studios that aren't necessarily Hollywood owned because he doesn't trust them. Because the caliber of movie that he wants to make.
I mean, I don't know a lot about Scott Adkins, but good on him for not trusting them, because he's right.
Yeah, he he wants to make real, like, super cool martial arts movies with awesome stunts and just... And they bring really good cast members in. Like, the first movie he fought Michael Jai...
The only sad thing about him is that he doesn't do his own stunts. Like,
Actually, he does.
I kind of lose respect for him for that.
You would respect that he doesn't... Did you think Scott Adkins do his own stunts?
No, he doesn't do his own stunts. But that's okay because I forgive all people for, you know, like I know like a lot of these big Hollywood stars like don't, but like it totally makes sense. Like you don't want to get hurt when you're making a film, so like I completely understand, and I'm totally
Scott Adkins does most of his stunts, like a lot.
Yeah, he didn't do any of his stunts, so that sucks. But
where are you coming with that he doesn't do his own stunts? He does do his own stunts.
What are you talking about?
I was talking about... Oh, are you talking about the difference between Hollywood, or like, what were you...
No, I'm just saying that Scott Adkins doesn't do his own stunts.
He does. That's actually... I see what you're doing, but...
You're just joking.
No, I'm not. I'm being real with you. He does do his own stunts.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow. I had no idea.
You'll learn that anybody that falls in the footsteps, anyone who falls in the footsteps of Jackie Chan, probably at one point in their life, has done their own stunts.
Are you saying that Scott Adkins is just like Jackie Chan?
He's not just like Jackie Chan. Like, nobody will ever be... Here's the thing. You can't compare Jackie Chan to, like, the newer people, because that's like saying... That's like saying, the actor that played Shang-Chi is the next Bruce Lee. You know? It's like...
You think Simu Liu is the next Chun-Li?
No, I'm just saying that, like, it's like the equivalent of saying that when it's not.
I get what you're saying, yeah.
Like, yeah, you have the old icons, and then you have the new people that are trying to put their own spin on things. But they worship those people.
Genuinely, Scott Adkins I would say he is still upcoming. Like, people seriously don't give him enough respect for what he does.
I agree. I agree.
I mean, he's totally... I would, like, sadly, I think it's to the point where we have to say sadly, he's still up and coming. Even though he's been in the industry for 10 plus years, he's still up and coming because no one really gives him the recognition he deserves.
Well, that's the problem is Hollywood didn't... I'm glad he went on and started to do things on his own terms and his own studios and worked with real people that actually appreciate him, because when he was doing Hollywood movies, nobody appreciated him for his talents.
Yeah.
For instance, there's a movie that's based off a book called American Assassin. He's in it for 5 minutes. He does some, like, cool kicks and, like, and stuff. Hey, FB, welcome. And then he gets, like, killed right away. And I'm just like, why are you wasting a man with this talent? Like, what in your script said, like, you could pick any other actor to be this, like, assassin and get killed so easily, but you pick Scott Adkins, like, just to come in and die for 5 minutes?
Do you think that's, like, disrespectful, almost?
I think it is. I think it is. I think it's really disrespectful. Especially for me, for someone who really loves him. Like, for instance, when you look at, like, so in the first Doctor Strange movie, when he played the Zealot, right? That was a rough...
Which Zealot did he play?
He plays the one that followed him into the hospital when they were in their self-conscious, like...
Oh, you're talking about that sorcerer?
Yeah.
That was him?
Yep.
Wow.
That was Marvel's biggest L I've ever seen, is the fact that they had the man that could have been so many other great characters, and they just wasted him in...
A one-time henchman.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Very upset. Whenever people ask me about...
When you first saw Doctor Strange, did you know that was the part he was gonna... Like, when you heard about Doctor Strange, did you know that was the part, or were you surprised by it in the movie?
I was surprised in the movie because I wasn't really looking up actors in movies at that time. So, like...
So you didn't really know Scott Adkins then?
No, I knew he was in other movies, but I didn't know that he was in this movie. Okay. And that he was going to have that small of a role.
Yeah.
And him to be a henchman of any sort is just... is just stupid to me. But yeah, that was unfortunate. Whenever you
I
get that,
mean,
but yeah,
that's the way this bullshit goes sometimes.
yeah. It's kind of stupid to me like that. Like it'd be one thing if like Marvel made the mistake and then they would have like brought him back for another great role, but they haven't even brought him in for another great role. Like it would have been great if they would have been like, well, yeah, that was
You
in
know
our
what's stupid
early.
about you know what's stupid about that? They can pay Gemma Chan, a popular actor, thousands like millions of dollars to come back and because she plays two parts in the MCU. They can pay her millions of dollars to play two characters, two separate characters. They could that could have been a one and done, but no, they paid her, but they can't pay Scott Adkins maybe a couple $1,000 to be someone different. Like that's the biggest L I've ever seen.
It is really stupid. It's like it's one of the things I just don't understand. Like, and Marvel's not the only one guilty of it. There's characters that Scott Adkins could be for DC as well that I don't think they've even fully even thought of approaching him for.
Who do you think he should be in
Um,
DC?
I actually thought like he would have been a good. I thought he would be a good
Well,
Deathstroke at one
since
point.
I mean, well, since they're rebooting, DC now,
Yeah.
who do you think he should be?
Honestly, because he put an audition tape for it back when Bale was the Dark Knight, I would love it if he was James Gunn's new Batman. Just because
Dude, I don't. I mean, I don't
the
know,
only
man.
problem is that I think James Gunn's gonna want someone younger. But
Yeah.
I would just love for him to get his shot. Because every time I watch a video of him practicing martial arts or doing stuff in his movies, there's literally an entire section of people just saying they want to see him as Batman. Like, and even if it was like just a one, like, even if it was just like a one-off for him, just like a one movie, just to see how it was, I just would be genuinely curious to see what it would be like.
If you
Because
weren't
he's
picking
got
Batman,
the.
if you
What
weren't
do you
picking
say?
Batman, if you weren't picking Batman, who would you want him to play? Like, give me like not a minor character, but like give me like a character, like not like someone who's not like Justice League type character. Like, if he's just someone in the DC, who would he be?
Well, Deathstroke was my other choice.
I like, yeah, that's a good choice, Deathstroke. I
Yep.
like that.
I also would like. I think he could play a pretty good. Are we doing just DC or DC and Marvel as well?
You can do both.
It would totally change the idea of the character, but I kind of think I think a Scott Adkins version of Iron Fist would be pretty cool. Like if they wanted to do the whole
you
like
said it
white,
before.
yeah, if they did the white like version of him and not the actual Asian version, I think he would be pretty cool. I also think I'm trying to think of another DC character that I'd like to see him as. I'd like to see him as Ricardo Diaz if he got all tattooed up, because that's one of my favorite
Yeah,
Green
I
Arrow.
like that.
Yeah, Richard Dragon would be really cool, especially after Boyka, because in Boyka he was so jacked from that movie. Like it'd be cool to see him like that. I also still think, have you seen Boyka, the most undisputed fighter on Netflix?
No, I haven't.
Watch that movie and tell me that Sony is fucking stupid for not casting this man as Kraven the Lion Hunter. Because, dude, you will watch that movie and you'll be like, why the fuck is Aaron Taylor Johnson Kraven when it should be this dude? Because I watched that movie and I was like, holy fuck, this dude looks like Kraven. And I was like, what the hell, man?
But then again, I mean, Sony, they're not gonna pick like because Sony is like a bunch of money grubbing assholes.
Right.
They're not gonna. Of course, they're gonna pick Aaron Taylor Johnson.
But I'm telling you, just for your
He's the
sake, if you
billionaire.
watch that movie or even just look at screenshots from that movie of him working out in the gym and stuff, because he's a Russian character too, you would just like, you'd be like, holy crap, this dude could be Kraven, and you'd be blown away. Kraven would probably be my number one pick for him, just because I think he could pull that role off perfectly.
Yeah.
But then there's other roles I think he could do as well. But I
think
also kind of,
I've got a couple
if we're doing like
questions.
MCU Craven, then yeah.
Yeah, if they were gonna do, if the MCU actually handled Craven and they actually handled Craven well, and they weren't dealing with the stupid Sony bullshit, it could have been done well. But we don't know if Sony will ever get if Marvel will ever actually get their hands to do a real Craven because Sony still wants to hold the Spider-Man rights. Looks like FB's got a couple questions for us. But this was fun talking about all this good stuff. We should be wrapping up soon, honey. We got you. Yeah, it's yeah. What are your questions, FBE? Because I had one more topic I wanted to get to, and then we can. But I'm curious to see what your questions are. Oh, you switched to your My Hero Academia skin?
Yeah.
I didn't know that you had anime skins. I thought you weren't into that. But I know you said you'd get all the collab skins, so that makes sense. What are you drinking over there?
Gatorade.
Gatorade, huh? That's always good. It's good to stay hydrated. Yeah, he said he had some questions. Okay, you do your last topic and then I'll ask. Okay, no worries. So, I guess we should talk about.
Wait, what were we talking about? I forgot.
What was going to be our last topic?
No, what were we talking about?
Well, first we were talking about movies, and I talked about Accident Man, and then we started talking about Scott Adkins in different roles.
You never finished your top 10. You only gave like 3.
No, I know I'm not because I don't have the full list compiled. It's like just a mix of.
Are you waiting for your video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want to put it together as an actual list.
You know, it's a hard thing for some people, and I still might change my list. But
yeah.
It is a hard thing for some
I want to
people
write down on paper on Letterboxd a concrete list before I fully decide definitively that's my list.
No, that totally makes sense. Yeah.
Like I want to sit down and look at this is 2022. These were the things that really were amazing. These were the things that do not deserve to be on the list.
Do you think Morbius deserves to be on there?
No.
Do you think?
I'm not even going to make my worst movies of 2022 list because I know it would get so toxic and I just don't want to do it.
You should.
So,
you should. Wait. Give me. Okay. Let's just do this real quick. Top 5 worst movies of this year.
Oh God. Morbius, Multiverse of Madness are
Fuck
those.
You! That is not a bad movie. It's just not the movie you wanted it to be.
No, but that's the thing. It's my list of worst movies. So for me, because of everything that I was hoping for, it didn't meet my expectations. So it gets put on that list.
Wow.
There are other movies that I think that are worse though. So don't get me wrong. I also, if I had to pick like, as much as I hate Morbius, I think any movie. Hollywood and cinema is meant for one job, and that is to entertain. So, the movie that I would say gets the biggest L of the entire year, just for me, and even though I haven't finished the entire thing, I would have to give The Fableman because it just.
Okay, my top 5 worst. Ooh, this is easy.
Dang, Mikey came in and said that Morbius was great. What do you mean Morbius was great?
Morbius?
Yeah.
I didn't really hate a lot of movies this year. Morbius, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Did you put Everything Everywhere All at Once as one of your worst movies?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Thor: Love and Thunder.
That one I can respect. I'm just flabbergasted by. Is it because you just don't like that people prefer that to Multiverse of Madness, or what's?
What's that? But it's also it's totally overrated. Like it's not that great of a movie. It's okay, but it's really not like it's. I couldn't even finish that movie. That it was like whatever. It was so whatever. So I put definitely that up there. I know this is technically not a movie, but I'm just gonna count it because it was so disappointing. The More Fun Stuff for No Way Home.
Oh God!
So disappointing. They had like one maybe good scene in there that was extra, and that's literally it. So I was very disappointed by that. Well, I mean, I think we both were, honestly.
That's why I didn't even include it on that. I don't consider that a film. That's an extended cut of nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, but it's technically still a movie, so you gotta. I had to count that. Other than that, though, I didn't really like hate anything with it. Like, it wasn't a movie that I watched and was like, oh my gosh, I hate that so much. I mean, I guess I guess if we were combining worse and disappointing, I could also put Wakanda Forever up there and Avatar 2 up there. But again, I don't hate those movies. I just was like not impressed by either of them. So,
I'm impressed. I've seen a bunch of people put, not necessarily Wakanda Forever, I've seen a lot of people put Avatar Way of the Water in their top 10s that are like, what?
for best movies,
Yeah.
that makes sense. That makes I don't. I honestly might like. I might put that in my top 10. It's not a terrible movie. I don't know. You just gotta put it up there for its visuals. Like visually, it's probably one of the most impressive movies I've seen in this past decade.
But see, for me, my biggest thing is I can't give a movie a top 10 spot in there if there's a severe problem with the movie. That is enough to make.
I would watch it again. Like I didn't.
Wait, no,
mind
I'm
the
not
movie.
saying I wouldn't watch it again. I'm just saying, like, if there's an issue that makes it not worthy of the proper top 10, and my issue
And
is.
see, I don't really see like I couldn't find like a big enough issue to not.
My issue is with James
Like,
Cameron's
sure,
stupid bullshit over the villain.
Okay, the villain, yeah, the villain's whatever. Like again, is it repetitive? Is it derivative? Yes. Does that make it bad? No, not really.
The fact that they're gonna do 5 movies with that fucking villain is just. Ugh.
We don't know that for sure. It could be a
Yes,
different
we
villain.
do. James Cameron has come out and said it.
He said that it's gonna be the same villain for 5 movies.
Yep.
I don't believe that.
Because you know what's the stupid part about it? He thinks he's.
What?
For someone who wants to go after comic book movies, he's using Star Wars as an example. He thinks he can turn this general into the next Anakin Skywalker.
Oh, Colonel. The Colonel, the Gorge.
Yeah, so apparently he's this villain, and then we're supposed to care for him, and he's supposed to have an amazing redemption story, and that's why apparently he needs to be in all 5 movies, because we need to really get to know who he is.
Stanley, the Marvel character birthday.
Yeah, no, there's no way. Okay, I agree. I mean, the villain, sure, the villain's pretty poop, but
And like really, if once you take away the visuals from Avatar, like what do you have left really? Like
I thought the story was fine. Like, the villain, yes. The villain was disappointing, but the story was still, I think the story there was still decent. Like, I didn't mind, like, I liked all the kids. I thought, I mean...
I liked it except for the fact that it was not what James Cameron was saying his movies were gonna be. So I just think that's funny that he's claiming that his movies are gonna be so original and then they're not.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, yeah, I get it. I get not hating it. I just to put something like that in the top 10 meant you would just really have to love it and be completely blown away by it. And I just don't think that when I think of Avatar: Way of the Water, blown away is not a word that I would use for that movie.
Yeah, I mean, visually I was blown away, but like, story-wise, not really. But then again, it's a tough movie to like.
Really?
Not.
That's interesting, Mikey.
I don't know. It's something I have to think about, but anyway, yeah. Let's just move on to our next topic.
Yeah. So our final topic is the Ahsoka leaks with. So I told you about them a little bit. So first we got to talk about the fact that we know that Hera's going to be.
That's awesome.
Crab bots. That's awesome. What do you mean crab bots?
Focus.
I don't know what he was talking about, but whatever. But yeah, so we got to talk about the fact that, you know, Ian McGregor's wife, Elizabeth Winstead, also the same chick who played Huntress in Birds of Prey, is going to be playing Hera from Star Wars Rebels in the Ahsoka show, which which I think is pretty cool. I think that's a great casting. I think this is. I love that we're gonna really see live action versions of these Rebels characters. I think that's just really cool that they're gonna actually go through with that, and I think that's super cool. And then, in terms of the Ahsoka show, we have these crazy Ahsoka leaks about. So we know Thrawn's going to be the main threat, and we know that Ezra is going to kind of get separated from him, and then they're both going to go their separate ways, and Ezra's going to kind of go into exile of his own. But then you have, the interesting thing is that, obviously, you know, Thrawn is our main threat, but similar to Palpatine, you can't make, I don't know how many episodes Ahsoka's going to be, but you can't have Thrawn go and take out Ahsoka every episode in hand-to-hand combat because it just wouldn't be a fair fight. And it wouldn't make the story that interesting, you know? Because one is a very powerful Jedi, or a former Jedi, I should say, and then one is a very intelligent being, but not capable of the Force.
Former Jedi?
Well, Ahsoka being former.
She's still a Jedi, technically.
Yeah, but she's not by the Council's order, like... But I guess at this timeline, the Council... But I guess by this timeline, the Council doesn't technically exist, so I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
Yes,
like,
she is a Jedi, but...
Luke Skywalker was always a Jedi. There was no Council, but he was still a Jedi.
That's true. So a Jedi would be...
Or a Jedi?
It's a good question.
You see what I did there?
Yeah. No, I think, yeah, but I think it's interesting that they're gonna have this, apparently these antagonists that Thrawn hires. So Babylon, which is funny because we talked about that movie earlier. So Ray Stevenson, who you guys will know for quite a few projects, he's going to be playing...
Babylon thing.
Yeah, so he's going to be playing a character called Babylon. And Babylon is going to be like a former Jedi that during Order 66 kind of abandoned his ways and went into hiding with the Night Sisters and has this apprentice of his that wields the dark side. Well, they both wield the dark side technically, but his apprentice, known as Shin, she was basically taken in by the Night Sisters, so she possesses Night Sister magic, but also wields a red lightsaber. So there's going to be a new, interesting female antagonist, similar to Ventress, to go hunt Ahsoka. And I think this is really cool because we haven't had these kind of interesting dark Jedi characters in Star Wars for a while. So I think this is going to be pretty cool to see. And I'm interested to see where they go with it.
I think they're definitely going for original. Like, it seems, I don't know, to me, like, I feel like it feels like a similar story that we've seen in Star Wars, but I hope that they can make it, like, kind of its own, where it doesn't feel kind of repetitive, because, I don't know, it's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, you have to...
I think they'll make it interesting because they're going to be new characters, and I think that will be fun to learn these new characters and what makes them interesting and why.
I think one of the weaker things, like, in modern Star Wars, not all of but modern Star Wars, is introducing characters that we care about. And it's never really, like, obviously some of the characters, like, are going to be characters we know. Like, the Rebels characters, we know them. We like them. But when you have new characters, like, other than the Mandalorian and like Grogu, I couldn't name a single modern Star Wars character. Like, and modern I mean by the time of like the beginning of the sequel, so now, that I really cared about, or like even remember. Like I think Kylo Ren definitely. I mean, he still carried the sequels, but other than that, like, there's just nobody. I couldn't remember anyone I cared about. So. You know, Obi-Wan didn't introduce anybody I cared about, you know,
right.
So, like, who fuck cares?
But I think that because Dave Filoni is working so heavily on this show, that these characters will have that kind of Dave Filoni shine.
We'll see.
To them.
He's kind of hit or miss on that too. Like I wouldn't say I cared for maybe half the characters in Mandalorian. Like, other
that's
than
fair.
Mandalorian himself, couldn't give two fucks about it.
But you also have to remember that Mandalorian is Jon
show.
Favreau's baby, not Filoni. So
Well, it was both of them. They both worked on it, so.
yeah, but mostly Jon Favreau. Like Jon Favreau is the brains of that show.
I mean, yeah, but.
He's also unfortunately part of the reason why Book of Boba Fett actually failed. Because he signed off on story ideas that Tamron Morrison did not agree to.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I like Dave Filoni. Trust me, he's a great guy. I think he's a young grasshopper, but he's hit or miss for me. He's hit or miss.
I understand. All right.
I think there's a lot. I mean, people underestimate people kind of remember. People kind of remember how many characters there were in Clone Wars, but there's also a ton of Clone Wars characters that people don't remember. And yeah, I mean, like he made a ton of Clone Wars characters iconic.
But you have to understand that like these characters, when there's new characters in a show like this, the intent is for them to be more of a nuisance. Like they're going to be, like I said earlier, Thrawn. Whether this is a 9-episode show, a 6-episode show, whatever episodes it is, right? Because Thrawn is Thrawn, and because of how powerful Ahsoka is, you can't have Thrawn attack Ahsoka head on. Because for the amount of episodes that there are, no matter what it is, because even though Thrawn is a super smart individual, if Ahsoka gets too close to Thrawn, he's kind of done for, because he just, when you have the powers of a Jedi and you have a technician in the Empire who's very smart and very basically the Sherlock Holmes of Star Wars, who can outsmart anyone at any one turn, which is great, but outsmarting doesn't work very well against the Force.
Yeah.
So I think I think these kind of mini antagonists will serve as kind of just a way for Ahsoka to do something while they're getting closer to when Thrawn is going to step into the picture. Like I think you're going to deal with kind of almost like a Thanos Kang situation where he is pulling people's strings, and that's going to be what makes him so scary and intimidating.
Yeah,
but
I hope so.
But anyway, guys, FBE, we're ready for your questions. Plus, I'm getting ready to hop off anyway because I gotta work pretty early tomorrow. All right, FBE, if you're still here, we're ready for your questions because we gotta get out of here. You trapped my hand. Did you do that on purpose? Why you do? Because why? Why you not want me to not move?
Because the way you were moving was...
What mean way I was moving was getting you?
It was getting me.
Let me get you. FBE, we're waiting for your questions.
Wow, people don't like the Avatar. I mean, yeah, I don't mind Avatar. I thought it was fine.
Some people just don't like them. They're not interesting to people. It's blue people shooting guns and.
Yeah, but the world. I think the world building is the best part of that movie for sure.
Yeah, it is good world building.
Today, December 28th, is Stan Lee, the Marvel character birthday. What the hell is he talking about?
I don't know.
Morbius.
Come on,
great.
FBE, we're waiting for your questions. Are you still here?
I think he's got to be here. There's like 2 other people in the chat.
Yeah, I don't know why he doesn't hear me yelling for him.
Well, remember, I mean, the stream's kind of delayed. There's always a delay with the stream, so.
Yeah, which I don't understand how that even happens, but.
It gets to certain people like at different times. Morbius was great. He's got to be kidding about that, right?
I saw someone say that too. It's like, yeah. You can think what you want, but I know the facts.
We know Morbius isn't gonna make your top 10, Joe.
Someone's gonna see it in their
It's
top
obvious.
10. It gets in the
If you-
top 10 for some people because they just love the meme of it.
What's one movie that you genuinely think like nobody would ever like, even with memes, like no one would ever put in their top 10?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think it's got to be Love and Thunder. There's no way, like genuinely, no way anybody liked like even for memes. There's no way.
Sometimes you'd be surprised, though, man. The way that you
I
underestimate
get,
people.
yeah. Well, I guess I would have to make exceptions for Marvel deck writers.
Yeah, you get a lot of those, so I wouldn't be
Oh,
surprised.
Thor: Love and Thunder wasn't that bad. It was just the director expressing himself. He was just going for something different this time.
Has
He
that been
wanted.
their defense mechanism
I
before?
don't know. I don't know. I'm just throwing out shit that Marvel stands would say. I mean, then again, you are a Marvel stan, so
Not technically.
well, you stand Marvel, but you don't dick ride it, right?
I like both Marvel and DC. Um,
So
I've always said
you're bi comic.
I've always by comic. I've always said that I grew up as because of the childhood I had.
It's like female or male. Like it's either you're
Yeah.
Marvel or you're DC. You know
Well,
you're
the
not.
way I see it is personally, well, movie wise, I can't necessarily give credit enough to what DC has done to say things as an overall company and the characters and the worlds. I like DC more than I like Marvel.
Ooh, aw, I feel bad for you. I feel bad because you're wrong. Like I
I'm going off not the movies. I'm saying that
not the
if we got a perfect universe like how the cartoons and the comics are, then if things were done and things were more even out, because of the limitations that Disney makes us have to deal with, if I had to favor a side, I would have to choose the side that James Gunn is on.
I think James Gunn's overrated.
Why do you think he's overrated?
I think his not Disney. I think his DC universe is gonna fail.
You actually think that's gonna happen? That's
It's
kind of
I
sad.
think it's bound to fail. And that might be a hot take, but I think his universe is bound to fail. But we'll see what happens.
I can't believe that you doubt James Gunn on that level. That's so crazy to me.
I don't doubt him. I just hate him.
Considering Marvel wouldn't be as successful as it is today if it wasn't for James Gunn.
That's not. If Guardians of the Galaxy never came out, Marvel wouldn't be like on its knees. Like it still would be in the same place as
No,
it
but
was.
it wouldn't have the success of Guardians of the Galaxy, and people love those characters.
That's true, but I mean,
There's no other director that could
you
make
have a
those
ton of other
characters work.
you have a I
Also,
think I think
Infinity
Taiki's
War
gonna
wouldn't work as well as it did because they wouldn't have the Guardians.
honestly the Guardians weren't a huge part of that story anyway. Like if you took them out of the equation, they wouldn't have that like other than Gamora, but like yeah, like anybody could have written Gamora. Like James Gunn wasn't a huge like yeah.
Did FB still like just disappear?
He's got to be here. There's 3 people in the chat. It says.
I know it's delayed, but it's been like several times. I don't know if I need to yell at him again. What I'm supposed to do?
Yeah, do that, and I'll maybe like say something in like talk in the chat, like say FBE, we're ready for your question or something like that.
Yeah, I thought he would understand because I
If
yelled it
anyone else has
already.
if anyone else has questions, go ahead while we wait for our friend FBE here.
Yeah, I thought his questions were like just ready to go, so I'd assume he's. We are ready for your questions.
We are ready for your questions, FB.
That's funny. I did it
What
from my
shows?
phone and I forgot that it shows up on the screen.
Oh wow.
I'm just waiting for him to respond or to do something.
Smartest MCU villain.
Who are you reading
Probably
that?
Ultron, I would say.
He's pretty smart.
I just wish they would redo Ultron. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, eventually. There's always a
this is
chance for it.
this is an interesting thought. Do you think that Kang could have killed Thanos in one of the timelines he was in?
I've seen people talk about that theory. I would say it's possible. It would also show that he's more of a threat, loomed even larger than people already expected.
Yeah. Because I mean, if Kang can kill Thanos, that's not good for anybody.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Kang could kill Thanos.
But can Kang kill Doom? That's the question.
Yeah, that's a question that I definitely don't think will get a good answer. Weird. I don't understand. I even said it in the chat. If he's not like, what the hell? I'm so confused. What do?
Who else is watching the stream then if it's not FB?
I'm coming with you. Be coming with you.
Thank you.
Wait for me. Me just waiting to get this resolved. Okay, FB, you have to the count of 3. If you're not coming in and you're doing your questions are going to get saved for 2023. By the time I'm going to count to 10.
The count of 3. You have the count of 59 seconds.
Yeah, he's already late as it is. So I hate when people don't when we say, like, if you're listening to the conversation, like, you got to be monitoring for your turn. You can't just leave when other people have things to do. Like, go to bed.
I think we should just move on. Let's just.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, we're gonna get off now because FBE disappointed us and chose not
He's
to.
a troll.
He said he had questions and now he's nowhere to be seen. So, anyway, guys, see you in 2023. Thanks for coming.
1 and